Okay, dear students, good evening. First of all, I am extremely sorry for study. In fact, the day before yesterday, I have taken the prior leave from you people on Monday. That was, I have taken the leave consciously. But on Tuesday and yesterday, I have tried at my best to attend your class, but due to some technical fault and some technical problem, technical snag, because so that's why even after sitting for some time and waiting for the restoration of the, you can say, right situation for taking the class, but I could not attend your class. So I am extremely sorry yesterday, even you people may have been confused. So let us start today, and today, as you know, in medieval history you are having simply 2 classes left now. Even in one class I can finish it, but let us observe what is required. So I'll just do according to requirement. तो पहले हम ऐसा करते हैं कि हम आपके 5 MCQ क्वेश्चंस को कवर करते हैं जो मैंने लाया हुआ है। क्वेश्चन फर्स्ट। अब देखो, ये बेसिकली विजयनगर के लिटरेचर से है। सो यू मे फाइंड सम डिफिकल्टी, अ बिट कॉम्प्लिकेटेड, बट इफ यू पीपल विल ट्राई, सो यू कैन आंसर द क्वेश्चन। कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स इन द कंटेक्स्ट ऑफ अष्टदिग्गज। अष्टदिग्गज मीन्स कि द 8 great poets and their compositions. Ashtdiggaj in Vijayanagar court. It should be indicative of Vijayanagar court. Vijayanagar court. In the court of Krishnadeva Raya, So, A. Allaseni Pedanna, one Pandurang Mahatmaya, to Nandini Timbana, to Prajatap Harna, Tenali Ram Krishnan, Swarochi Sambhava, and Madhura Dharmnathpura. So my students, please make it clear what is the right choice here. C. Yes, correct answer. You have done correct answer. C. That is correct answer. Question number 2. Which of the following statements is correct about Ibadat Khana of Fatehpur Sikri? A. Mosque for the prayer of royal family. B. Akbar's personal place for prayer. C. A place where Akbar held debates with various religious scholars. And D. A place where religious elites had gathered for religious conversation.
C.
Yes, you are correct. Even this question is correct now. C. Then next one question. Aurangzeb banned music in his court. Aurangzeb banned music in his court, but not the musical instruments. Reason: Aurangzeb himself was a skilled veena player. So now you have to solve this reasoning, assertion and reasoning now.
Maximum A.
Choice number A is the correct answer. Huh? Okay. Choice A. Yes, choice A is the correct answer. Even the question number 3rd, you have done the very correct answer. Question number 4. Vijayanagar Empire was a famous Hindu state of South India. Reasoning: rulers of Vijayanagar imposed additional tax on Muslim traders. Vijayanagar Empire was a famous Hindu state of South India, and reasoning: rulers of Vijayanagar imposed additional tax on Muslim traders. C is the answer. Okay. Okay, C. Then which of the following significant features are visible in Vijayanagar's style of architecture? Up. Yes, C. Correct answer. And which of the following significant features are visible in Vijayanagar style of architecture? 1. Decorated pillar. 2. Kalyan Mandapam. C. Octagonal shape. And 4. Multi-story building. मतलब ये 4 फीचर्स में आपको बताना है कि विजयनगर आर्किटेक्चर में आपको कौन से लक्षण नजर आते हैं.
D.
My students, we have answered question very well in all the 4 questions. But in the question number 5, you are going to commit some mistake. So I am giving you some warning. You go through the choices once again. Go through the choices once again.
No, C.
No. B, only 2. Decorated pillar and Kalyan Mandapam. These 2 features are associated with Vijayanagar. Decorated pillar, I have just shown you some horse is standing on its the back leg while touching the front leg to the roof. And the same horse statue was attached to a pillar. So a pillar attached with a horse statue, so that was manufactured by Vijayanagar artist. It could have been built with much pain and the much perseverance, So it was definitely a great piece of art. My students here, yes.
Question number 3 or 4.
3 and 4 both. Aurangzeb banned music in his court but not the musical instruments. Yes, Aurangzeb himself was a skilled veena player. That is an example. And here you can select A. So that is the right choice. देखो, A choice आपका तब होता है जब आपका R या तो cause होगा या example होगा. मतलब ऐसा ही नहीं कि R आपका cause ही हो. Even R is going to be an example. So even example should be counted under the choice A. Vijayanagar Empire was a famous Hindu state of South India. Rulers of Vijayanagar imposed additional tax on Muslim traders. That is absolutely wrong. The R is absolutely wrong. Vijayanagar kings could not make any discrimination between Hindus and Muslims, even among the subjects. And Muslim merchants were given the full protection. There is no question of imposing extra tax on Muslim merchants, They even prefer to recruit the Muslim archers into the army. And this initiative was taken by Devaraya II, I have told you earlier. So how can you come to this conclusion that the Vijayanagar Raya imposed extra tax on the Muslim merchants? So that is a wrong statement. We cannot agree with the statement, So better to reject this statement. See. My friends, actually, let us do the modern architecture and the modern things first, then I'll just return towards this phenomena. Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute, my students. Start from here. Let us start from the modern architecture itself. Okay. During the era of British rule in India, modern architecture began to take shape. एक्चुअली देखो, आपने मिडिवल आर्किटेक्चर किया है तो थोड़ा सा इसको पढ़ लेना. मॉडर्न आर्किटेक्चर में आपको एक डायरेक्शन देगा. ओके. और फिर हम लोग देखेंगे आज से लेके आज कितना हो जाता है तो फिर हम चर्चा करेंगे. During the era of British rule in India, modern architecture began to take shape. The British faced a significant challenge in replicating the majestic Mughal architecture, but they made efforts nonetheless. However, their attempts fell short when compared to the original Mughal structures. In the 19th century, buildings were constructed in the Victorian style, utilizing materials such as, you can say, bricks, steel and cement. जैसे actually British Mughal architecture reached up to its climax, you know. Even the regional architecture maintained their excellence. But whenever the British came to India, so they started to make their own buildings. So initially in 19th century, they tried to build some, you can say, monuments and some architectural monuments in Victorian style. Victorian style means in British style there. So they used some bricks, cement and steel. They were not using stone as you find the case earlier. Bricks, stone and steel, you know. मतलब उन्होंने ब्रिक्स का, ईंटों का, सीमेंट का और इस्पात का इस्तेमाल करके उन्होंने चाहा कि हम अपने को बना लें, यानी अपने आर्किटेक्चर को बनाएं. Although they incorporate Mughal inspired brick domes, these additions proved to be ineffective. जैसे अब देखो, ये डोम बनाए, इन्होंने मुगल डोम की नकल करने की कोशिश की. दे ट्राई टू इमिटेट द मुगल डोम, बट इट बिकेम सिंपली ludicrous, you know, the very funny look you find, because it is very like, just like a stupa, you know, not the in true sense the Mughal dome, but it is very near to a stupic, to a stupa. And here you can say they were using brick, they are using, you can say, cement and iron. So they just tried to imitate the Mughal architecture, but they could not, you can say, reach up to the excellence, you know. Then you come to know that when Delhi was established as the new capital in 1911, the architect Lutyens and his associate Baker divide a blueprint for the city's new buildings. Initially, they pursued a neo-Roman style of architecture, but later shifted to incorporate influence from Hindu, Buddhist and Islamic traditions. जैसे जब लुटियंस जब दिल्ली बना 1911 में, जब कैपिटल ट्रांसफर हुआ दिल्ली में, so Lutyens and George Baker, they started to make a design of buildings in what you know as Central Secretariat, and then even India Gate later you come to know, and even Connaught Place, you know, that is in South Delhi, but in Central Delhi. So they will come to realize that these in building of the architectural monuments, they also try to assimilate some Hindu, Buddhist and Islamic traditions. But here, you know, you will find there basically some, you can say, European style and the Roman style as well. So there was the mixture of all, and they could not maintain the quality of the buildings, you know. They lacked the openness and practically that are hallmarks of modernity. मतलब सबसे बड़ी बात है कि जो जब देखिए एक्चुअली जिस समय मेडिवल आर्किटेक्चर बना था तब तो मेडिवल एज था, अब आया मॉडर्न एज. तो मॉडर्न एज में बिल्डिंग्स अपेक्षा की जाती है कि बिल्डिंग्स आपका ओपन दिखे. जितना ओपन दिखता है मॉडर्न एज में उतनी अच्छी बिल्डिंग मानी जाती है. लेकिन उनका जो बिल्डिंग है ना वो बहुत ढका ढका सा है. देखो, नॉट ओपन्ड, a very covered area like the medieval architecture. This is not the feature of modern architecture. So in sum total, the British tried to imitate the excellence of the Mughal architecture, but their performance and their appearance of their architecture was very poor, you can say, and incomplete, you know. So they could not reach up to the excellence of the Mughal emperors, you know. India Gate, that is Lutyens Delhi, that is Lutyens architecture, gateway of India at Mumbai, presently. Gateway of India. Lutyens architecture, Center Secretariat, Parliament, that is Connaught Place. The Connaught Place. That is here you find the the Gothic, some impact of some Roman style architecture as well, pillars. In Connaught Place, that was designed by Lutyens. Not impressive. Their architecture was not impressive. Here you find that, like you can say church, you find here the Gothic style, like you can say the pointed arc here. Now my students, here I have exclusively mentioned about an important architect. You people have to go through it. And his name was Laurie Baker. There were the two Baker in history. In the British architects, you will find two Bakers. One is the Laurie Baker, another is George Baker. So George Baker was, in fact, he was a companion to Lutyens. And George Baker was association of Lutyens as an architect. But Laurie Baker was a different person. And Laurie Baker was known as a poor man's architect, poor man's architect, because he made a design of the very, you can say, different type of, he used the filter slab style, or filtered slab, you can say, system in the making of in building architectures, in architectural monuments. Actually, he was building the houses for the poor men, and he preferred to use the local raw materials, or the raw materials which were locally available, and he could produce the very cheap type of monuments and the cheap type of houses, So Laurie Baker is known as the poor man's architect, So here you will find about the Laurie Baker. Dekho this house. What is the design? What is the superb design? But here investment is very low, because there was the use of the local raw material, not very costly. Very costly raw material was avoided, and better he preferred to use the local elements and the local, you can say, the local product. Here you can say open, a very airy type of house, very airy and open type of house, and very well designed with the local, very, very less costly. Laurie Baker's architecture. Now modern paintings, Nagendra Tagore, Abanindranath Tagore. Under the British rule, a few Indians were exposed to European paintings, including the renowned painter Ravi Verma from Travancore. He aimed to merge Indian and European painting styles, drawing inspiration from the flourishing art scenes in Paris, the capital of France. The new classical French painting movement left a lasting impact on Verma's work. During the national movement, there was a growing inclination towards Indian art as a response to British influence. In the midst of Swadeshi movement, Abanindranath Tagore played a pivotal role in reviving Mughal painting and establishing the Bengal school of painting. Notable artists such as Nagendra Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore, Nandlal Bose and Yamini Roy joined this artistic movement. However, Yamini Roy stood out with her unique perspective. While many artists focused on depicting various aspects of life, she dedicated her art to portraying the lives of ordinary people. ये सब कुछ मॉडर्न पेंटर्स का है, थोड़ा बहुत देख लेना, आपको थोड़ा प्रीलिम्स में भी कहीं काम आ जाए, मेंस में तो क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछना चाहिए, प्रीलिम्स में कहीं काम आ जाए. अब राजा रवि वर्मा पेंटिंग्स, सरस्वती, Bharat Mata, Abanindranath Tagore. Suppose in prelims, if they are going to ask you the question, ki who made the first portrayal of Bharat Mata? The first portrayal of Bharat Mata was done by whom? Do you know? Painter Abanindranath Tagore. This is the portraiture of Bharat Mata. And this portraiture has been placed in the Indian Museum in 2015. Indian Museum in 2015, it has been placed now. Indian National Museum, you know. Okay. Some local styles from prelims point of view you can observe here. Patna or Company School from prelims point of view. Patna School of Painting. That was under British rule. After the Battle of Palasi, that was the Patna School of Paintings, you know. Patna School of Painting. Holy Celebration painting in Patna style. Paintings of Kali Ghat, Calcutta. Kali Ghat. Kalamkari paintings. Kalamkari paintings, that is, Kalamkari painting is also very important type of painting in modern painting, you know. Kalamkari paintings. Worldly painting. Worldly paintings. Kohbar Soharai painting style. This art style originating from Jharkhand's tribal region celebrates the growth of progeny and crops. Intricate engravings depicting kings, queens, and nature adorn the walls of houses. Within the artwork, one can find engravings of fish, elephants, parrots, the sun, the moon, and the other elements all intricately woven together. You have to go through once from prelims point of view. Fad Chitra, Fad paintings, you know. Fad paintings. Education under British rule. Why Lord Macaulay, which I have taught you in modern history, so it is not a new thing, you know. Lord Macaulay. Macaulay's education system emphasized the following. Nationalist reaction. And my students, here I have to deal with in modern history because I have already taught you modern history, but I have to deal with certain things, you know. Just 1 minute, my students. What was the impact of British rule on demographic structure of India? So here I have given the information because I have already taught you modern history. So it is not a new thing, you know. Actually, it is not a new thing. You people are well familiar with the theme, you know. So it is not a new thing. You are well aware of the fact. So let us do that. That is the British factor. What was the impact of the British rule on the demographic structure of India? Demographic structure, that is the one factor, you know. What was the impact of the British rule on the demographic structure of India? What is the basis? देखो अब इस क्वेश्चन को या इस टॉपिक को देने का बेसिस क्या है मैं आपसे डिस्कस करता हूं कि ड्यूरिंग एंशिएंट एंड medieval times population migration occurred due to economic and political factors. This trend continued under British rule as migration was encouraged for various reasons. British rule negatively impacted indigenous industries and employment, compelling affected groups to seek opportunities elsewhere. Consequently, individuals migrated both out of the country as indentured labor and within the country. Tribal groups were sent to tea and coffee plantations as contract labor, while people from Uttar Pradesh migrated to cities like Bombay, Malegaon and Bhiwandi due to the decline of cotton, textile and handicraft industries. Secondly, the introduction of a new transportation system played a significant role in driving population migration. Nomadic tribes from India, for example, migrated to Bombay and secured employment as dock workers. Thirdly, individuals relocated. This intermingling of diverse groups transformed each area into a microcosm of India, highlighted the rich regional, ethnic and communal diversity that emerged in the Indian subcontinent. देखो आगे मैं एक क्वेश्चन आपको बताऊंगा. इनफैक्ट 2019 में या 2019 में दे हैव आस्क्ड यू अ क्वेश्चन कि हमें भारत में सर्वत्र लघु भारत दिखाई देता है. इन एवरी पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया वी मैनिफेस्ट ए स्मॉलर इंडिया. लघु भारत मतलब लघु भारत. अब हमें भारत में सर्वत्र लघु भारत दिखाई देता है. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ? क्योंकि देखो जब खासकर मैं आपको बताऊं कि मॉडर्न कल्चर में, कल्चर का भी एक मॉडर्न पार्ट, जैसे हमने मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री पार्ट, तो आई हैव ऑलरेडी टॉट यू द मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री पार्ट इन डिटेल्स, यू नो, एंड यू पीपल हैव डेवलप्ड द एक्सपर्टीज एंड कॉन्फिडेंस एज वेल. बट सर्टेन क्वेश्चंस दे आर आस्किंग फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ मॉडर्न culture part. So that's why I have to discuss this modern culture part. So once there was a question in 2019 कि in all the regions we can manifest a smaller India, यानी हमें सर्वत्र भारत में लघु भारत दिखाई देता है. तो what is the implication of the statement? What is the basic objective behind the statement? Objective was that कि India is known for its cultural diversity, you know, the linguistic, cultural, regional diversities. So in everywhere we can manifest a smaller India. Its implication is not simply India as a whole is diverse, but every region is regionally, culturally and demographically it is diverse. So in order to make you clear कि what is the background behind this diversity in different regions, because there was the migration of population from one region to another region from ancient time, you know. And here I will give you the example कि suppose Durga Puja is being celebrated in Delhi. So in one part of Delhi, I myself has manifested. In the one part of Delhi, we can manifest a mini Calcutta. For example, Chittaranjan Park of Delhi is just like a mini Calcutta. For example, you can say कि when in Shravan, in month of Shravan, or in the July, August month, you know. So whenever Kavariya, they were carrying the kamar on their shoulder. You might have heard about Kavariya. So they were taking, you can say, water, Ganges water from Haridwar, and carrying Ganges water on their shoulder. They were moving towards Delhi. So in August month, in the roads of Delhi, you will find that roads are almost blocked due to the excessive and overcrowded activities of Kavariya. And due to the movement of the large number of Kavariya on the roads, you can see they were plying on the roads, and you can say motorable road is almost blocked. So in the same manner, you can find on Ganesh Chaturdashi, although this festival is of the festival of Bombay or Mumbai, you know, this Ganesh Chaturdashi and this Ganesh Puja, but on this day there was the immersion of the idol of Ganesha in Yamuna River. So the roads are almost blocked due to a large number of carriers carrying the idol of Ganesha in order with the objective of their immersion into the Yamuna water. So in Delhi, I myself has manifested the mini Hindustan. So in every region is due to the migration of population and due to the migration of along with population the manifestation of regional different cultures in a single region. Every region is appearing just like a Laghu Bharat or mini India. So every region looks like a mini India, or a smaller India or mini India, you know. तो यही क्वेश्चन का डिमांड था, 2019 में पूछा था. जरा सा आप हिंट करो तो इस चीज को समझ पाए जो मैंने आपको बताया. अंकुर, जरा सा आप पूछो तो उनसे कि ये समझ पाए.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Likewise, my friends, I am moving to other. What kind of impact did the British leave on Indian culture? What type of impact the British might have produced on Indian culture? Here I have to cite some example. Here I have to cite some example. In fact, when the Western colonizers, they moved to African continent and Latin American continent. So what did they do? They destroyed their local culture completely and thoroughly westernized the region. But whenever they came to India, so they manifested here a very strong and very entrenched culture, that was Indian culture. So it was so entrenched and so old, it was one of the earliest cultures of the world. So British could not dare to destroy Indian culture, rather they tried to impregnate Indian culture with Western ideas. So right from the time of Lord Macaulay onwards, in 19th century, they gradually started to penetrate Indian culture and to infuse Western elements into Indian culture. So that's why it started interaction between the Indian elements and Western elements, and then led to the rise of Indian Renaissance, which I have already discussed with you in the history of modern India, that is called socio-religious reforms movement of 19th century. So is this point clear? Socio-religious reforms movement of 19th century. Is this point clear?
सर सौरभ पूछ रहे हैं कि इंडिया गेट क्यों बनाया, उसका यूज क्या था बनाने?
India Gate was for as just like a memorial for the soldiers who were, you can say, who sacrificed their life during the First World War on behalf of British. And the British sent their soldiers to fight in Mesopotamia, means Iraq, and many Indian soldiers, they were, you can say, killed in the battlefield. So as a memorial for Indian soldiers who fought in the battle of the First World War, the British built India Gate. Who has asked this question? Saurav, it's your answer.
गेटवे ऑफ इंडिया के बारे में.
Gateway of India, it was the British, just like you can say, in order to welcome a queen or king, they came to India, at that time, possibly George V or whatever maybe. So actually, at that time, the British king, they were making an anchor to Bombay port, जैसे उनको अगर दिल्ली भी आना होता तो पहले बॉम्बे में ही उनका शिप एंकर करता था, वहीं पर लंगर डालता था, क्योंकि पहले तो एरोप्लेन्स नहीं था, तो उस शिप से आते थे, तो बॉम्बे में ही बॉम्बे कोस्ट पर वो लंगर डालते थे. तो उन्हीं का कोई किंग था शायद, उनके वेलकम के लिए उन्होंने गेटवे ऑफ इंडिया बनाया था.
सर विनय मिहर वाले के बारे में पूछ रहे
क्या, किसके बारे में?
हैं अबाउट मिहारा वाली.
I am not clear कि what is your question. Please make your clear a bit, make your things a bit more, your question a bit more clear.
Okay.
ये एस्पेक्ट समझ गए लोग क्या लिख रहे हैं? ओके.
Yes.
How did they intervene into Indian culture? Rationalism, humanism, individualism. You have to go through it. Did the reforms in 19th century Indian society and culture stem from the influence of Western ideas, or were they reaction against them? My friends, actually a long time has gone and a long time has elapsed whenever I have taught you modern history. So I myself is a bit clear, because in modern history whenever I have taught you, I realize that you have in conceptually, you develop a conceptual clarity. So now I am a bit curious. I am asking one question to you, and in multiple choice you have to answer my question. My question is कि the socio-religious reforms movement of 19th century, socio-religious reforms movement of 19th century in India, that is called Indian Renaissance. So either that was the product of Western impact or the product of reaction against West. Either was it the product of Western impact or was it reaction against the West. Socio-religious reforms movement of 19th century, was it product of either the Western impact or reaction against the Western elements? So please make me clear. If first choice A, if second choice B, or if both choice C, or none of the above choice D. Both. Yes, you are clear. Very good. So I have already made you clear that basically whenever I have taught you modern history, ki social reforms movement of 19th century or Indian Renaissance, so for that some term has been coined, and what is the meaning of the term? Impact versus reaction schema. There was the term, use of the term impact versus reaction schema. What were the advantages and disadvantages of the influence of Western ideas? Actually, definitely the Western ideas, you can say, worked as a catalyst behind, you can say, Indian Renaissance. But detrimental impact of Western ideas was what? The detrimental impact of Western ideas was that basically there was the initiative by the British for Westernization. So Westernization and the initiative for Westernization and to infuse Western, you can say, consumerism in India was a bad thing. But progressive ideas of the West should have been appropriated and were appropriated, and that was a positive impact. What were the advantages and one of the influence of the traditional ideas? The benefit of you can say advantage was it worked as a catalyst behind the social reforms movement, and it gave some self-confidence to Indian scholars. But disadvantage was what? In fact, this orthodox ideas resulted into, or the traditionalism resulted into, the revival of the past. So the revivalism trend was also visible. So positive thing of the traditional ideas was it lent a sense of self-confidence among the Indian scholars, but simultaneously it could have encouraged a sense of cultural revivalism as well. How did the British narrow interpretation of Indian culture encourage separatism? Obviously, you can say that basically the British interpreted Indian society in the very mean and narrow manner. It was due to two things. One thing was that British were basically having some malafide intention as well, and second thing was that they were ignorant about Indian society. So they could not properly understand what is the, you can say, व्हाट इज द बेसिक फीचर ऑफ इंडियन सोसाइटी, मतलब दो बातें थी। एक तो ब्रिटिश का इरादा भी हमारे प्रति सही नहीं था, वो हमारे पास्ट और कल्चर को थोड़ा सा डिस्टॉर्ट किया। अब जैसे मान लीजिए जेम्स मिल है, तो जेम्स मिल ने इंडियन हिस्ट्री को हिंदू पीरियड, मुस्लिम पीरियड और ब्रिटिश पीरियड में बांटा। अच्छा तो नहीं किया, तो ऐसा उसने इंटेंशन को लेकर भी किया, और कुछ हद तक जो ब्रिटिश थे वो हमारी सोसाइटी से इग्नोरेंट थे, हमारे सोसाइटी के नुआंसेस को नहीं समझ पाते थे, इसलिए भी गलत इंटरप्रेट कर देते। अब देखिए, जैसे देखिए कैसे हमारे सोसाइटी में से डिवाइसिवनेस आया। एक तो कास्ट सेंसस शुरू किया, तो उनके मन में एक बात बैठी हुई थी कि बेसिकली इंडियन सोसाइटी वाज ए कास्ट बेस्ड सोसाइटी। So whenever in India the census has to be conducted, so Indians should be enumerated on the basis of the caste. So it definitely encouraged a caste consciousness among Indians, the first thing. And the second thing was कि earlier you can say the caste was a very fluid phenomena in India, very fluid. The caste system was a very flexible and fluid system. At some time you can say a caste was making upward mobilization, some caste was downward mobilization, then upward mobilization, downward mobilization. So the caste system was a very fluid and flexible system. But once the caste were enumerated and census in fact gave the different caste a static status. Static status means कि अब now the caste, there was less scope for the further mobility in caste. And once the caste was, you can say, stabilized through the census, it means कि there is the less scope for social mobility. मतलब पहले क्या था, जो जाति थी तो जाति समूह, अब इंडिविजुअल तो ऊपर नीचे नहीं होता था, अपने पूरा जाति समूह ऊपर और नीचे होता था। लेकिन अब क्या हुआ कि एक बार जब कास्ट सेंसस हुआ तो कास्ट को इन्होंने क्या किया, स्टैटिक बना दिया। अब कास्ट में जो पूरा जो कास्ट ग्रुप है वो अपवार्ड मोबिलाइजेशन नहीं कर सकता था, सो देयर वाज लेस स्कोप फॉर अपवार्ड मोबिलाइजेशन, यू कैन से। तो दिस वाज द मिसकॉन्सेप्शन एंड डिस्टॉर्शन व्हिच इमर्ज्ड इन कोर्स ऑफ द सेंसस. And the same happened in case of Hindus and Muslims. Now they started to enumerate the different religious groups. So they started census on the basis of caste and religion. So it definitely created cleavage within Indian society. तो ये separatism को बढ़ावा मिला. What was the reaction of Muslim community to British policy? So I have already discussed with you Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. In fact, there were the two different trends. On the one hand, there were, you can say, traditionalist Muslims, that is Bahavi movement, Faraji movement. So they tried to revive Islam in its original form, and they were talking in terms of purity of Islam, कि purity of Islam should be restored, क्योंकि once the purity of Islam should be restored, so then the British would be revenged in India and the old glory of the Muslim rule could have been re-established. So it was with this objective, you can say, Faraji and Bahavi movement, so they started a revivalist movement. On the other hand, the English educated Sir Syed Ahmad Khan and some other Muslim leaders, so they became pro-British Raj with the hope that कि the British would sympathize with Muslims and the British would help the reinvigoration and the regeneration of the Muslim society. So it was in this hope they tried to promote Indian society in one sense, you can say. They try to, you can say, support Muslims, कि Muslims would promote the cause of Muslims, the British. They try to follow the pro-British Raj policy so that the British Raj would give extra support to the Muslims in India and the Muslims could enjoy the patronage from the British Raj. तो ये जो सर सैयद अहमद खान की पॉलिसी वो अलग है, और जो फराजी और बहावी जैसे जो मूवमेंट चले आ रहे थे उनकी पॉलिसी अलग थी। तो दोनों का जो अप्रोच है वो अलग अलग है।
सर गिरी पूछ रहे हैं कि which part of history sir like and want to live in that era?
सर लाइक मैंने मैं
Yes.
Giri, you are asking me कि what part of history I like most, and I like to live in this era. So if you will just prefer my personal liking, so as a modern man, or rather you can say postmodern man, I prefer to like live in present era, because all the eras were simply, undemocratic. Even if I am going to count the British rule, so even the British rule is a greater challenge for Indian leaders who were fighting for the freedom. And the Indian society was at that time the very undemocratic, feudal and colonial society. We were being exploited and we are being grinded, rather you can say, between the two different mules. One was the feudalism, another was colonialism. तो अगर हम यह कहें कि हम नेशनल मूवमेंट में रहना चाहते हैं तो वहाँ भी तो हम एक अनडेमोक्रेटिक सिस्टम के तहत हैं, जहाँ ब्रिटिश के तरह तरह के अत्याचार देखने पड़ते, जमींदारों के फ्यूडल लॉर्ड्स के अत्याचार देखने पड़ते. अगर मिडिवल हिस्ट्री कहूँ तो मैं फिर और पीछे चला जाऊँगा. वो सोसाइटी में तो दम घुटेगा, क्योंकि वो तो और भी अनडेमोक्रेटिक और इनइक्वलिटेरियन सोसाइटी होगी. एंशिएंट में कहूँ तो वो भी कोई फेयर सोसाइटी नहीं. कुल मिलाकर तो मुझे कॉन्टेम्पररी सोसाइटी अच्छी लगती है. कुछ भी है, कम से कम बोलने की आज़ादी, जीने की आज़ादी, अपने मन मुताबिक अपने प्रोफेशन को चुनने की आज़ादी है. कास्ट और रिलीजन का बर्डन तो कम से कम माथे पर नहीं है. सो गिरी, दैट्स वाई कि इन प्लेस ऑफ गोइंग टू हिस्ट्री आई विल जस्ट ट्राई टू लिव इन कॉन्टेम्पररी हिस्ट्री ऑफ इंडिया. ओके.
Raju question, sir, Wahhabi movement can be considered as revival of radical extremist ideology.
Yes, definitely. Raju, it was an radical extremist ideology. That was Wahhabi movement. It was a revivalist movement, and radical extremist ideology was revived,
Okay, sir.
What was the relation between religion and culture? I have already discussed with you religion and culture in the very beginning, Why did nationalism and communalism both grow together and like step brothers in the middle of the Indian national movement? I have already discussed this aspect, that due to the factors, nationalism grew. With the same factor, even communalism progressed simultaneously. And there is a very thin line of demarcation between nationalism and communalism. Suppose you are going to make your nationalism parochial. It can easily take the form of communalism, तो ब्रिटिश रूल में क्या था कि नेशनलिज्म का जैसे जैसे प्रोग्रेस हुआ, कम्युनलिज्म का भी प्रोग्रेस हुआ. Due to three factors. On the one factor is the ambitious policy of the Muslim elite class. Then the first one factor is the policy of divide and rule by the British. Second one is the ambition of the Muslim aristocratic class, and third one is the failure of the Congress to combat communal politics in India. So due to the three factors, whenever the nationalism was progressing, so side by side nationalism, even communalism was simultaneously progressing. So you people have in modern history already observed this thing. How did Constituent Assembly redefine India's cultural policy in order to build a new nation state after Indian independence? Was there a choice before us to adopt the Western model of nationalism? My students, I have already discussed in post-independence era, and I have discussed with you earlier, and I have formulated a lecture on this topic. The nation building, the nation building proved a greater challenge to our nationalist leaders, even more than the freedom movement of India. मतलब राष्ट्र का निर्माण करना देश की आजादी से भी अधिक चुनौतीपूर्ण सिद्ध हुआ, क्योंकि हम जो राष्ट्र का, नेशन का वेस्टर्न मॉडल को लेकर चलते तो हम इतने डाइवर्सिफाइड थे. आपको याद होगा, आपको यह याद है कि नेशन बिल्डिंग में हमको कैसे चैलेंज मिला था, एंड हाउ डिड इंडियन लीडर्स टेक इनिशिएटिव फॉर इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ नेशन बिल्डिंग, एंड इंडिया कुड डेवलप an alternative model of nation building. We developed a different model, and this model was based on the dictum, the principle, you can say unity in diversity. So how did we combat the linguistic diversity, cultural diversity, regional diversity? So because earlier you can say even John Strachey has given the challenge earlier, India can never be a nation, it is just like a continent, you know. So my friends, please give me the hint कि are you recalling कि how was the nation building process so difficult for India? क्योंकि ये सब चीज़ें अगर आज आपको याद होंगी और आप कुछ भी रिकॉल करके किसी के साथ बहस कर सकते हैं, कन्वर्सेशन कर सकते हैं, तो हमारे लिए ग्रेट सक्सेस होगा. तो क्या आपको यह याद है कि नेशन बिल्डिंग का प्रोसेस इंडिया में कितना डिफिकल्ट हुआ और कैसे हुआ, क्यों हुआ? Are you recalling? Please, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Are they recalling? Good.
सर मुस्कान कह रही हैं कि मुस्लिम और ब्रिटिश रिलेशन उनको ठीक से समझ नहीं है.
मुस्लिम और ब्रिटिश रिलेशन मुस्कान तो वो क्यों ठीक से समझ में नहीं आया? हिंदी में पूछिए, इंग्लिश में?
इंग्लिश में. इंग्लिश में.
Muskan, how could you not understand properly the relationship between Muslims and the British? I have already told in modern history, even go through my study material. In my study material, I have made this point clear. That whenever you go through the modern history, you will come to realize the fact that in modern history part, I have already dealt with this aspect. That earlier when the Great Revolt of 1857 occurred, so at that time, the British took Muslims as the main villain or the brainchild behind the Great Revolt, Great Uprising. So initially the British followed the step motherly treatment to the Muslims in India. So initially the policy of the British was anti-Muslims. So due to this anti-Muslim policy of the British, Muslims were already lagging behind the Hindus in the field of education and government employment, and due to this policy they lagged behind the Hindus furthermore, and gradually on economic social front they were a great loser. So here you can say the British exploited India, you know. So a group of orthodox Muslims, they try to revive the old glory of Muslims, that is the rule of Caliph. So that is Faraji and Bahawi, leave them. They were traditionalist and revivalist. But the English educated, gradually you can say some Muslim nobles and the Muslim aristocrats, they got English education and they came to realize that so far as the Muslims are not gaining the support of the British in India, the Muslims could not progress in India. So the Muslims in India needed the British patronage. So with this hope, they started to follow the pro-Raj policy. So it was among these Muslim leaders I have mentioned earlier, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, Abdul Latif, Qazi Nazrul Islam, Chirag Ali, etc. So they organized Aligarh movement. So Aligarh movement was initially, it was for the reforms, for reformation within Muslim society. But later Sir Syed Ahmad Khan switched over to pro-Raj policy in 1880s. And then the British were also searching for cause, because when the extremist movement started within Indian National Congress, so British became a bit scared about the aggressive nationalism in India. So in order to counter the aggressive nationalism in India, the British decided to follow the divide and rule policy. So then Morley Minto reforms, and I have talked about the Muslim delegation, that is the Simla delegation in 1986. Then, you know, Morley Minto reforms bill of 1909, formation of Muslim League, etc. And this policy continued till freedom. Gradually, the British started to give patronage to Muslims. From time to time, the Muslims took concessions from the British, the Muslim League. So Muslim League became the gradually, initially the Muslim League was just, you can say, representing a small section of Muslims in India, but later the Muslim League started to expand its social base, and before the Indian freedom, it became a paramount and the main Muslim party in India, and it could encourage the Muslims to rise in revolt against the Congress, and even the Muslim League became instrumental behind the Hindu-Muslim riots, from Calcutta killing started. तो ये तो पूरा प्रकरण मैंने नेशनल मूवमेंट में करवा दिया है मुस्कान, ये 2-4 शब्दों में तो करवाया नहीं जा सकता। फिर आप क्यों कह रहे हो कि हम मुस्लिम और ब्रिटिश के रिलेशनशिप को नहीं समझ पाए? मुझे नहीं लगता कि आप लोगों को इसमें कोई दिक्कत होगी अगर रेगुलर आपने क्लास किया होगा। हाँ, रिवीजन बहुत पहले छूट गया है, जब एक बार आप रिवाइज करोगे तो वंस अगेन द थिंग्स विल कम टू योर माइंड। Question: has the formation of linguistic states strengthened the cause of Indian unity? So I have discussed this aspect when I taught you modern history. In context of the diversity of India, can it be said that the regions form cultural units rather than the states? Give regions with example for your viewpoint. My student, this question was important from in 2017. 2017. This question was important to 2017. So in UPSC, actually, this fateful year, what happened? So firstly, I have to inform you. Mamata Banerjee, the Chief Minister of West Bengal, so she followed some policy in context of Gorkhaland. For your kind information, Gorkhaland earlier remained to be a very volatile region, and there was a long demand for a separation of Gorkhaland as a separate state, And finally, this movement was subdued and suppressed, but the Gorkhas were given some sort of autonomy in the region, and that was the Gorkha Council. You can say the tribal council was formed there, and it was given in matter of linguistic matter, the matter of language and some other issues, it was given some sort of autonomy. But the government of Mamata Banerjee in 2017, this government tried to impose Bangla on Gorkhaland, which was having some Nepalese origin, you can say, and possibly the Nepali language was, you can say, in circulation there. So Gorkhas once again rose in revolt, and they started a movement against the West Bengal government. So the things became very difficult. So this question has tried to prove that, in fact, did you commit some wrong whenever we have made a state a basis of cultural identity? In place of the state, the region should be the basis of cultural identity. It is for the fact that whenever we have formed the linguistic states, so at that time we have given the linguistic autonomy to whom? We have given linguistic autonomy to a state at that time, to a state. So now the question arises, have you committed some mistake? We should not have given the you can say the linguistic identity to the states, rather we have to select the region at that time. Because suppose you can say in a state, you have chosen, in Bengal was given the formed on basis of Bangla language, and 7 states in Hindi language in North India. Then you can say Telugu language, Andhra Pradesh and Vishal Andhra, then Tamil Nadu, Tamil language. The question arises that whenever you have given the cultural identity to the state, so in this state 40% people were the user of that language. For example, if you are taking in case of any state, so the state language was used by 40% people, and rest of the people 4%, 5%, 3%, whatever may be the number, but that is the linguistic minorities. So on the one hand, the center has given autonomy to a state in the matter of language, but the same state is suppressing the region in the matter of language. So a state was suppressing its own minorities, while the central government has given right to the minority groups on the basis of a state, but the state was suppressing the regional you can say minority. So question arose कि have you committed some mistake कि we should have taken the region as the basis of culture identity in place of state. मैंने उनका ये कहना था कि हम लोगों ने राज्य को सांस्कृतिक पहचान का आधार बनाया, परंतु किसी राज्य में सेंटर ने उसको लिंग्विस्टिक भाषा संबंधी उसको स्वायत्ता दी, तो उस प्रदेश में तो 40% लोग उस भाषा का यूज करते हैं, बाकी तो दूसरी भाषा का यूज करते हैं। तो कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं है कि उसकी जो माइनॉरिटी है लैंग्वेज का वो सप्रेस्ड हो रहा, हम लोग कहीं उसको सप्रेस तो नहीं कर रहे। स्टेट गवर्नमेंट कहीं सप्रेस तो नहीं कर रही, तो क्या रीजन को कल्चरल आइडेंटिटी का बेसिस बनाना चाहिए था? तो यही एक क्वेश्चन है। इस क्वेश्चन को हमने आंसर करके दिया हुआ है यहाँ पर। तो डिस्कस द सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ द लॉयन एंड बुल फिगर्स इन इंडियन मैथोलॉजी, आर्ट एंड आर्किटेक्चर। ये तो शुरू में भी हमने डील किया था, इसको आप लोग पढ़ लेना। ये 2022 का क्वेश्चन है। Safeguarding the Indian art heritage in the need of the moment, मतलब अपने आर्ट हेरिटेज को बचाना हमारा दायित्व है। ये 2018 का क्वेश्चन था। जैसे आपको अगर आर्ट को प्रिजर्व करते हो तो आपको क्या क्या फायदा होता है? प्रमोशन ऑफ टूरिज्म इंडस्ट्री, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस, कल्चरल एंड इकोनॉमिक कंट्रीब्यूशंस, तो बहुत सारे फायदे आपके हैं। और सबसे बड़ी चीज कि एक चीज और भी कर सकते हो, आपका जो आर्ट है वो नेशन बिल्डिंग से भी जुड़ जाता है। टूरिज्म को ही प्रोग्रेस करता है, कल्चरल एंड इकोनॉमिक कंट्रीब्यूशंस भी है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस है। और द एंशिएंट सिविलाइजेशन इन इंडियन सबकॉन्टिनेंट डिफर्ड फ्रॉम दोज ऑफ इजिप्ट, मेसोपोटामिया एंड ग्रीस। ये तो पहले ही हमने कर दिया था। Describe any 4 cultural elements of diversity in India and the rate their relative significance in building a national identity. जैसे आपसे पूछ रहा है कि भारत की क्या, माने भारत में सांस्कृतिक विविधता के 4 कारकों को बताइए और यह भी बताइए कि इन सांस्कृतिक विविधता ने भारत को उल्टा मजबूत कैसे बनाया। अब ये तो देखिए क्वेश्चन का मतलब 4 कल्चर डाइवर्सिटी आप दीजिए और आप यह बताइए ये कल्चर डाइवर्सिटी ने इंडिया को और स्ट्रांग बनाया, वीक बनाने के बजाय। अब दैट इज अ वेरी यूनिक टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चन। आई हैव आंसर्ड दिस क्वेश्चन। इनफैक्ट दिस इज द थिंग कि हियर आई एम साइटिंग सम एग्जांपल। एक देवानंद एक्टर था, तो उसका एक पांव, कहते हैं लोग क्रिटिक के, उसका एक पांव बड़ा और छोटा था, थोड़ा सा छोटा था, तो उसको चलने में थोड़ा सा क्या कहोगे, वो तो दिव्यांगता आ जाती है। अब दिव्यांग जिसको बोलते हो मैंने, वो तो हैंडीकैप्ड हो जाता। सो ही स्टार्टेड डेवलप्ड अ वेरी स्पेसिफिक स्टाइल ऑफ वॉकिंग। उसने बड़ा ही एक अच्छा सा स्टाइल डेवलप कर लिया था, बहुत झटका लेके चलता था और वो चलने का स्टाइल जो था वो देवानंद स्टाइल हो गया। तो बाकी एक्टर उसका वो स्टाइल इतना फेमस हुआ कि बाकी एक्टर उसकी नकल करने की कोशिश करते थे, परंतु उनके जो दोनों पांव समान थे तो वह उसकी नकल नहीं कर पाते थे। दे डिडंट, इन स्पाइट ऑफ द बेस्ट ऑफ द एफर्ट्स, दे कुड नॉट इमिटेट हिम। तो एक क्या है कि उनमें तो वही बात हमारे साथ हुई कि नेशन हमने जो बनाया है, तो वो नेशन दूसरे लोग भी चाहते हैं कि हम नेशन बनाएं, लेकिन उनको वो हमारी नकल करने की चाहेंगे तो हमारी डाइवर्सिटी, हम डाइवर्सिटी को हमने प्राइज किया है, वो डाइवर्सिटी को प्राइज नहीं कर रहे। वो क्या कर रहे हैं, वो अपनी डाइवर्सिटी को दबाने की कोशिश करते हैं, तो उनके यहाँ क्या होता है, विद्रोह हो जाता है। और हमने अपनी डाइवर्सिटी को ताकत बना लिया। तो बेसिक डिमांड ऑफ द क्वेश्चन यही है। This was the basic demand of the question कि how our diversities are going to make us stronger due to our pragmatic policy. So this is the main demand of the question. अब तो आर्किटेक्चर मॉडर्न हो ही चुका है। So my students, अब nothing has been left. Every aspect I have done in modern history. I have taken one day in advance, my students, but आई थिंक कि अब नथिंग हैज बीन लेफ्ट। अब मैं आप लोगों को कुछ रिकमेंडेशन कर देता हूं, और आप लोग भी कुछ पूछना चाहो तो इसको इसी को अंतिम क्लास मानो और आप हमसे पूछ लो बुक्स के बारे में, चाहे किसी के बारे में। जैसे देखो, एग्जामिनेशन चाहे मेंस एग्जामिनेशन, वेदर इट मे बी द मेंस एग्जाम और प्री एग्जाम, अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज द फर्स्ट रिक्वायरमेंट। अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज द बाइंडिंग फोर्स। तो आप कहोगे कि भाई हमने अंडरस्टैंडिंग पर ज़्यादा बल क्यों दिया? क्योंकि पहली बार अगर बहुत ज़्यादा फैक्ट्स हम आपको बताते हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा फैक्ट्स करवाते हैं, तो आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग बिल्ड ही नहीं होती, और फैक्ट्स पर कोई भरोसा नहीं होता है। फैक्ट जो होता है एग्जाम में किसी समय दे कैन चीट यू, but if we are going to develop your understanding, so whether it may be pre-exam or mains exam, so that's why I am always try to make my students thinking creature first, then anything else. तो इसीलिए अब आप सेकेंड राउंड में कुछ फैक्ट्स को बढ़ा लो, ये स्ट्रक्चर वही रहने देना। यू हैव नॉट टू ब्रेक द स्ट्रक्चर आई हैव गिवन टू यू। अब कहोगे भाई कल्चर और एंशिएंट मेडिवल में, तो अब कोई गाइड बुक तुम पकड़ लो, बट गाइड बुक में फैक्ट्स केवल सियरली फैक्ट्स मत लेना, मेरे मेथड को भूलना नहीं। यू हैव बीन एनलाइटेंड एनफ नॉट टू फॉरगेट माय मेथड, यू नो, नॉट टू फॉरगेट माय मेथड। अब यू पीपल हैव टू डिसाइड कि हाउ टू डील विद द थिंग्स। मतलब आपको अब डिसाइड करना है कि कैसे चीजों को आप लेकर चलोगे। तो उसमें क्या है कि आपका स्ट्रक्चर, आई हैव ऑलरेडी गिवन टू द स्ट्रक्चर, यू पीपल हैव टू फॉलो द स्ट्रक्चर एंड यू हैव टू प्लेस ऑल द थिंग्स इन द स्ट्रक्चर सो दैट कि यू शुड नॉट इग्नोर और फाइंड एनी डिफिकल्टी। जैसे आप अगर अकेला फैक्ट्स पढ़ोगे तो फैक्ट्स पढ़ोगे भूल जाओगे। आप मेरा स्ट्रक्चर है उस कुछ फैक्ट्स स्ट्रक्चर में आप डाल लीजिए। Culture में if you are too much willing, you can go through the selected chapters. I have told you A.L. Basham, the wonder that was India. In modern history, you are talking about the spectrum या ये वो spectrum अगर too much exhaustive I think and too much factual. If you can appropriate some facts from there and put the extra information into my scheme, then that will be better. So whatever guidebook you have to consult, but you people have to be cautious enough. You have not to place your own facts. I mean, you should place your facts into the proper schemes, you know. Proper schemes. And if you have to asking any question, for prelims you can better consult guidebook for A.L. Basham, that was wonder that was India, and for mains understanding I have developed you, and from the prelims you will take certain more ideas, you know, and then you can tackle with any question in mains. I am confident. In prelims you have to increase certain informations, certain matra, certain quantity.
A.L. Basham में कौन-कौन से chapters?
Society and religion. If you will refer to society and religion, so these are the very you can say standard chapters, you know.
कंचन कह रही सर आपके मटेरियल और एनसीईआरटी से काम हो जाएगा?
प्रीलिम्स में, मेंस में हो जाएगा। प्रीलिम्स में तुमको थोड़ा सपोर्ट और चाहिए होगा कंचन।
प्रीलिम्स के लिए गाइडेंस?
प्रीलिम्स के लिए जो मैंने फार्मूला बताया उसी फार्मूला को आप फॉलो करिए। You have to follow the formula in prelims. Are they asking the question in Hindi or in English?
हिंदी।
तो देखो प्रीलिम्स के लिए आप वही फार्मूला को अपनाइए जो मैंने आपको बताया। जैसे अंडरस्टैंडिंग तो चाहिए ही चाहिए, अब थोड़ा फैक्ट्स बढ़ाना है तो उसी स्ट्रक्चर, जैसे पॉलिटिकल है, अब जैसे एनसीएंट है तो पॉलिटिकल है तो पॉलिटिकल वाले को पॉलिटिकल में रखिए, इकोनॉमिक वाले को इकोनॉमिक में रखिए, तो थोड़ा सा आप इन्फॉर्मेशन बढ़ा सकते हो अगर चाहो तो। अब बुक अलग अलग पढ़ने का फायदा नहीं, क्योंकि ज़्यादा बुक आपको पढ़ना पड़ेगा, तो कोई गाइड बुक अच्छा सा आप रख लो और गाइड बुक से थोड़ा सप्लीमेंट कर लो इन्फॉर्मेशन को। वैसे देखो क्वेश्चन तुम्हारा 60% सॉल्व हो जाएगा उसी से जो मैं आपको करवा दिया हूँ मेंस में, चूंकि अंडरस्टैंडिंग से ही होता है। 20% क्वेश्चन तुम बढ़ा सकते हो थोड़ा सा इन्फॉर्मेशन को गैदर करके प्रीलिम्स में, और बाकी तो 20% क्वेश्चन प्रीलिम्स में आप कितना भी कुछ करो सॉल्व नहीं होगा, तो उसको छोड़ भी देना है, उसके लिए टेंशन भी नहीं लेना है, क्योंकि 50% पर सिलेक्शन होता है तो कोई ऐसी बात नहीं है। अगर मान लो 80% या 70% या 75% टच कर देते हो बहुत है।
सर मैंने कह रही है कि इन द एजुकेशन पार्ट इन नोट्स mention about debate on India and Bharat mentioned. So can we also use it in answer writing?
देखो इवन अब दे गवर्नमेंट प्रेफर्स, अब अगर रहना है तो हिंदुस्तान में रहना है तो हिंदुस्तानी बन के रहना होगा. अब सपोज यू कैन से योर अपीयरिंग द एग्जामिनेशन, तो इंडिया यू कैन यूज एंड ब्रैकेट में भी भारत यू कैन यूज इफ यू लाइक. इवन अगर तुम भारत भी यूज करते हो तो कोई बड़ी बात नहीं, लेकिन अभी तक तो जो ग्रेटर महकमा है उसमें इंडिया शब्द यूज होता है. तो मुझे लगता है इंडिया यूज करने के लिए अभी कोई पनिश तुमको नहीं करेगा टिल कि ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल स्टेटस इसका ना हो जाए. अभी तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल स्टेटस नहीं हुआ, एक विचार ही बना है. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल स्टेटस तो अभी भारत का ऐसा है नहीं, इंडिया दैट इज भारत, तो इंडिया को कोई काट तो नहीं सकता.
गाइड बुक का बोल रहे हैं कि नाम अगर बता देते हैं.
मुश्किल है थोड़ा सा गाइड बुक में, देख लेना मार्केट में. जैसे मॉडर्न में थोड़ा स्पेक्ट्रम से हेल्प ले सकते, लेकिन स्पेक्ट्रम में मैं डरता इस बात से हूँ कि बहुत फैक्ट्स है. कोई ऐसा गाइड बुक देख लेना, बहुत सारे हैं मार्केट में अवेलेबल, कि जिसमें थोड़ा सा, वो भी ज़्यादा नहीं फैक्ट्स लेना है, उनसे आपको 20% और इन्फॉर्मेशन लेना है मात्र, बाकी को छोड़ देना है, उतना नहीं फैक्ट देखना है.
सिद्धांत कह रहे हैं कि सर गांधी जी कैसे देखते हैं बिसाइड्स अ लॉट ऑफ क्रिटिसिज्म इन दिस मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड.
बहुत अच्छे दिखते हैं गांधी जी पर. गांधी जी तो वेरी वेरी रेस्पेक्टेबल पर्सन, ही आर द फादर ऑफ द नेशन एंड ही डिजर्व्स दिस टाइटल, यू नो. So undoubtedly Gandhi is a very, you can say, unique in the history of the world, not simply in India. Very unique personality he was.
राहुल कह रहे हैं सर रिवीजन के लिए कोई अप्रोच.
Thinking creature and intellectual fermentation. Go through the topic and then keep the notes just nearby on the table and then start think over that and try to link it. So that will even strengthen your mind power.
नितिन सिंघानिया के लिए कुछ.
टू मच एग्जॉस्टिव. अगर सेलेक्टिव कुछ ले सकते हो तो ले सकते हो, लेकिन टू मच एग्जॉस्टिव है. ध्यान रखना फैक्ट से बचना, ज़्यादा फैक्ट से बचना. मेरा ये सरमन याद रखना, मेरा ये एडवाइस याद रखना, ज़्यादा फैक्ट्स से बचना और अनप्लान्ड फैक्ट्स मत लेना. अनप्लान्ड फैक्ट्स याद नहीं रहेगा, इसलिए प्लान करके फैक्ट्स लेना.
अभिषेक कह रहे हैं कि सर इम्पोर्टेंट चैप्टर ऑफ नितिन सिंघानिया.
आई हैव नेवर सीन दिस बुक नितिन सिंघानिया. गाइड बुक मैं देखता नहीं हूँ, तो इसलिए मैं तुमको इसमें हेल्प नहीं कर सकता नितिन सिंघानिया वगैरह जैसे बुक में, क्योंकि मैं कभी उस वर्थ रीडिंग ऐसा नहीं समझा कभी कि हम गाइड बुक को देखें. गाइड बुक हमने कभी देखा नहीं, हम टेक्स्ट नहीं लेते हैं. अब हम तो बहुत टेक्स्ट पढ़ते हैं, तो तुमको क्या बताएंगे, तुमको कहेंगे भाई एक गाइड से ही हेल्प ले लो.
सिद्धांत मिडाइवल इंडिया के लिए कोई बुक.
मिडाइवल इंडिया के लिए देखो सबसे तो दिलचस्प बुक सतीश चंद्रा की है. तुम एक काम करो, एनसीईआरटी तो मिडाइवल इंडिया 8 से 17 सेंचुरी पढ़ ही रहे हो, ओल्ड वाला 8 से 17 सेंचुरी पढ़ लो, एक बेसिक तुमको फाउंडेशनल आइडिया मिल जाएगा मिडाइवल हिस्ट्री का. वैसे सतीश चंद्रा का 2 वॉल्यूम में है, दिल्ली सल्तनत टू मुगल पार्ट 1 एंड दिल्ली सल्तनत टू मुगल पार्ट 2, बट इट विल बी टू मच एग्जॉस्टिव फॉर यू. तो एनसीईआरटी वाला जो सतीश चंद्रा का पार्ट है, अब एनसीईआरटी तो रहा नहीं वो, दैट इज फ्रॉम ब्लैक स्वॉन पब्लिकेशन, ही हैज पब्लिश्ड, सो यू कैन गो थ्रू दिस बुक. Okay my students, so now my students, successfully modern history, world history and even ancient, medieval and culture has been finished. I have spent a lot of time with you people. I will definitely miss you, and you people are very laborious, and in multiple choice question you have performed very well, very efficiently and very confidently. Even in mains part you people are doing good. You are really brilliant, and I hope you will get through the examination. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and good night from my side, and with best of luck.